Why is it that the more you provide, the more she acts like you're just a servant whose only job is to hand over the fruits of your labor? Behavioral observations suggest that many men are living with quiet parasites, women who have mastered the art of resource extraction while making the man feel like he is the one who is failing. You are working the long hours, you are fixing the broken sinks, and you are the one making sure the bills are paid on time. But when was the last time she asked you how your soul was doing? Psychological patterns show that for a woman who has a taker mindset, your sacrifice is invisible because she views it as her birthright. She doesn't see the sweat on your forehead, she only sees the balance in your bank account. In this brutal analysis, we are going to look at the one street road of the modern relationship and why a man who gives everything to a woman who gives nothing back isn't being romantic, he's being robbed. We are going to break down the psychological drain that happens when you are the only one building while she is the only one consuming. If you feel like your energy is being siphoned away and your peace is being traded for her pleasure, you cannot afford to look away from this screen. The truth about parasitic attachment is the only thing that will stop you from bleeding out for someone who is just waiting for you to run dry. I'm not here to impress the crowd. I'm here for the man quietly rebuilding his life brick by brick. The man who got hurt but didn't stay broken. The man who learned the hard lesson and chose growth anyway. If that's you, don't stay in the background. Subscribe. Stand with men who are choosing strength the right way. Leave a comment and let your presence be known. No hype, no chaos, just discipline, direction, brotherhood. The first psychological reality we must confront is the entitlement shift. Behavioral observations suggest that in the beginning of a relationship, a taker will show just enough appreciation to keep you hooked. She might say thank you or make a small gesture to make you feel like a king. But once she feels that you are committed, a psychological shift occurs. Your generosity becomes her requirement. Your extra effort becomes her baseline. Psychological patterns show that a woman who lacks internal gratitude will eventually view your hard work as a debt you are paying to keep her in your life. You are the victim of one-sided empathy when you realize that you are a safety net for her, but she is a brick wall for you. A man who gives his emotional strength to a woman who offers zero reciprocity is a man who is starving himself to feed a glutton. Let's look at the path of Silas. Silas was a man who believed in the provider mindset. He met a woman named Chloe who was beautiful, charming, and always in need. Silas felt a protector instinct kick in. He paid off her old debts, he moved her into his house, and he even helped her start a small business that he funded 100%. Silas thought that by removing her stress, he was creating a partner. He thought that once Chloe was up, she would pull him up too. But as the years went by, the business grew and Chloe started making her own money. Did she start paying the mortgage? No. Did she take Silas on a vacation to thank him for the years of support? No. She used her new money to buy herself designer clothes and travel with her girlfriends. Silas is the loser in our story because he fell for the savior trap. He thought that giving was an investment in loyalty. But psychological patterns suggest that takers don't feel loyal to their saviors, they feel resentful of them. Every time Chloe looked at Silas, she was reminded that she owed him, and because she didn't want to feel indebted, she started finding fault in him to justify her lack of giving. She began to treat Silas like a background character in her own success story. When Silas finally asked for her to contribute to the bills, Chloe told him he was controlling and financially abusive. Silas lost his prime years, his savings, and his self-worth because he tried to nurture a woman who only knew how to consume. He found out that a woman who only loves you for what you provide will leave you the moment she provides for herself. He was a victim of utility usage, proving that if you build a woman up from nothing, she will often use that new height to look over your head for your replacement. The second reason you can't satisfy a taker is the mirage of completion. Behavioral observations suggest that many men think there is a finish line to a woman's demands. They think, if I just get this one promotion, or if I just buy this one house, she will finally be happy and start giving back. But psychological patterns show that entitlement has no endpoint. If you give an inch, she takes a mile. If you give a mile, she takes the whole map. You are the victim of moving target syndrome when you realize that her happiness is a moving goalpost designed to keep you in service. The taker doesn't want to be satisfied. She wants to be chased. By making sure you never feel like you've done enough, you ensure that you never stop giving. Furthermore, we must address the domestic labor imbalance. Behavioral patterns show that in many one-way relationships, the man is doing 100% of the external provision and still 50% or more of the domestic support, while the woman optimizes her life for leisure. A woman who takes will let you drown in work before she lifts a finger to lighten your load. You will watch you come home exhausted and still ask you what's for dinner, or can you drop this off at the post office? You are the victim of the invisible load when your rest is treated as a luxury while her leisure is treated as a necessity. A man who respects his own time is a man who refuses to be an intern in his own marriage. The reality is that the heart of a taker is a black hole. Behavioral observations suggest that light goes in, but nothing comes out. You can pour your youth, your ambition, and your love into that hole for 50 years, and you will still die empty. Psychological patterns show that love is a circular energy. It must flow back and forth to stay alive. When the flow is only one way, it's not love, it's siphoning. You are the sovereign source of your life force. If the recipient of your life force is ungrateful, then they are unworthy. You don't try harder to be noticed by a blind person. You walk away and find someone who has the vision to see your worth. You have to realize that you are the prize. Your work, your integrity, and your protection are high-value goods in a world of chaos. If she treats your presence like a utility and your provision like a right, then she has forfeited the privilege of your company. Behavioral observations suggest that a man who holds his hand is a man who saves his life. Do not let your goodness be turned into your weakness. If she takes without giving, she isn't a partner. She's a bill you don't have to pay anymore.
I don't make content for the average mindset. I make it for the man who holds himself accountable when nobody's watching. The man who can say no to distractions, not because he's controlled, but because he's in control. If you're looking for comfort, this won't resonate. But if you're building discipline, rebuilding your standards, and refusing to stay average, you belong here. Most people watch, nod, and disappear. But if you're different, prove it. Subscribe, leave a comment. Not for me, for you. Let this be the moment you stop consuming and start committing. The third psychological reason she takes without giving back is the loss of the incentive structure. Behavioral observations suggest that humans, by nature, only work for what they value. If you give a woman 100% of your loyalty, 100% of your money, and 100% of your attention without her having to earn it through respect or reciprocity, you have effectively devalued your currency. Psychological patterns show that when a service is free and unlimited, it is no longer appreciated, it is expected. You are the victim of oversupply devaluation when your kindness becomes background noise like the air she breathes. She doesn't thank the air for being there. She only complains when the oxygen is slightly low. A man who understands this doesn't give more to be noticed. He withdraws the supply until the value is recognized again. We must also look at the projection of parental roles. Behavioral patterns show that some women who take without giving are not looking for a husband, they are looking for a replacement father. They want a man who will fix everything and pay for everything without them having to perform as a partner. Psychological observations suggest that this is a stunted maturity. In her mind, she is the child who is owed care, and you are the parent whose job is to provide. You are the victim of role displacement when you realize you are raising a grown woman instead of building a legacy with a queen. You cannot have a physical relationship with a dependent, and you cannot have a mission with a passenger who refuses to row the boat. The fourth major reason is the shield of modern entitlement. Behavioral observations suggest that many women are told by modern society that their presence is the present. This is a psychological lie that kills marriages. Psychological patterns show that relationship success is built on mutual exchange. If she brings beauty, but you bring beauty, money, protection, and leadership, the scale is broken. You are the victim of the presence myth when you allow her to believe that showing up is doing her part. A high-value man requires substance, not just symbolism. Furthermore, we must address the fatigue of the unseen. Behavioral patterns show that giving without recognition causes the male nervous system to shut down. This is where quiet quitting in a relationship comes from. Psychological observations suggest that when a man feels invisible, except for when he's handing over a card, he loses his will to build. You are the victim of functional burnout when you realize that you are succeeding for a stranger who just happens to live in your house. Let's look at the path of Gideon. Gideon was a man who worked in the oil fields, heavy work, dangerous work, but high pay. He married a woman named Vanessa. For 3 years, Vanessa stayed home, didn't work, and spent Gideon's hard-earned money on home decor and social status. She never had dinner ready, she never asked about his safety, and she treated his homecoming like a refill request for her bank account. Gideon felt drained. He felt like a walking wallet. Gideon is the winner in our story because he utilized the law of strategic austerity. He didn't argue, he didn't scream, he simply shut off the tap. He opened a separate account, gave Vanessa a strict budget for the house, and told her, "I am a man who builds for the future. If you want a luxury lifestyle, you must bring luxury peace and luxury support to this home. If you are a consumer, you will live on a consumer budget. If you are a partner, we will share the profit." Gideon won because he was willing to be the villain to save the man. When Vanessa realized that the free ride was over, she had to face her own utility. She realized that Gideon's presence was the engine of her life. By valuing his own labor, he forced Vanessa to value him. He stayed sovereign because he realized that a man who allows himself to be used is a man who is teaching the world that he has no soul. He became a master of asset protection, proving that love without limits is just self-destruction. He didn't buy her love. He commanded her respect by respecting his own sweat.
Beyond the stories, we must analyze the psychology of the parasite. Behavioral observations suggest that a parasite does not want to kill its host. It wants to keep the host alive just enough to keep feeding. In a relationship, this means she will give you breadcrumbs of affection, just enough to keep you from leaving, but never enough to make you feel full. Psychological patterns show that this is intermittent reinforcement. It's the same thing that makes people addicted to gambling. You keep playing the game because you remember that one time she was nice to you 3 months ago. You are the victim of gambler's fallacy when you think the next big win of her love is right around the corner if you just spend a little more. We also need to talk about the death of masculine ambition. Behavioral patterns show that when a man is being trained by an ungrateful woman, his work performance drops, he loses his edge, he stops taking risks. Why? Because his brain knows that any success he achieves will just be consumed by someone who doesn't appreciate him. Psychological observations suggest that a man needs a safe harbor to return to, so he can go back out and fight the world. If the harbor is just another battlefield where he has to defend his resources, he will eventually give up. You are the victim of ambition atrophy when your home life is taxing your future. Another critical pillar is the social validation theft.
Behavioral patterns suggest that a woman who takes from you will often tell her friends that she is the one doing everything. She will take the money you earned and tell people, "We worked hard for this," or worse, she will claim she manages everything while you just work. Psychological patterns show that by stealing your credit, she is building her own status at the expense of your reputation. You are the victim of narrative erasure when you are the lead actor in your life, but she has edited you out of the credits. Finally, we must understand the restoration of the sovereign routine. Behavioral patterns show that the only way to break the cycle is to stop the flow. You must become selective with your time, your money, and your attention. Psychological observations suggest that when a man recalibrates his standards, the woman has two choices. She either steps up to meet the new standard, or she exits because she can no longer exploit him. Either way, the man wins. You are the architect of your reality. If you build a house with no doors, you can't complain when the thieves walk in. Boundaries are the doors of your soul. The reality is that true love is a balanced scale. Behavioral patterns suggest that in a healthy union, the man provides the structure and the woman provides the life. If you are providing the structure and she is sucking the life out of it, you aren't in a union, you are in a hostage situation. You are the king, you are the builder, you are the protector. Do not let anyone treat your sacrifice like garbage. If she takes without giving, she isn't a queen. She's a tax on your success that you no longer have to pay. I have a smart question for the men who have the sovereign fortitude to finish this session on the reality of takers. If you were driving a truck across a desert with 1 extra gallon of water and you met a hitchhiker who refused to help you drive and refused to help you navigate, but demanded to drink your last gallon while you were doing all the work, would you give them the water and die in the sand? Or would you keep the water so you could reach the city and build a life for someone who actually cares if you live? You are the driver. The water is your life energy. The hitchhiker is the taker. Stop dying in the sand for people who are just looking for a ride. Drop a comment below and tell the Brotherhood, what was the moment you stopped being a provider for the ungrateful and started being a provider for your own legacy? How did she react when you finally closed the bank and opened your eyes? Share your boundary stories. Your strength might be the map a brother needs to get out of the desert and back to the throne. Let's build the council of sovereign men together. The fact that you're still here tells me something about you. You don't run from uncomfortable truths. You sit with them, you learn from them, and you apply them. That's rare. So understand this. You're not just watching content, you're building yourself in real time. And men who choose growth like that don't walk alone here. If this message sharpened you even a little, subscribe and stand with this community. Drop a comment and let me know what hit home. I pay attention. Keep tightening your standards. Keep doing the work. I'll see you in the next one.